Comparing 2013 and 2022, despite rapid industrial growth, total child labor slightly increased from 1.698 to 1.776 million. However, hazardous labor reveals a sharp departure. Children working in life-threatening conditions dropped by over 212,000, falling to 2.7%. In a developing economy where families often rely on every available earner to buy food, a total, instantaneous ban on child labor is an economic impossibility. Without those wages, the households at the very bottom would simply collapse. To manage this, authorities adopted a strategy of socio-economic triage. Instead of a blanket ban that might drive labor into hidden, unregulated corners, the government targeted the most life-threatening jobs first. This strategy recognizes that ending child labor is a phased process, one that begins by separating general work from fatal risks to protect the most vulnerable children immediately. The first step in this triage was establishing a strict legal definition of unacceptable risk. In March 2022, Bangladesh ratified the ILO's Minimum Age Convention 138, aligning its national framework with international safety standards. Domestic policymakers then translated that treaty into a concrete list of 43 hazardous work sectors, where the employment of anyone under 18 is now strictly prohibited. This list now includes the fish drying industry, which frequently exposes young workers to severe chemical preservatives and toxic environmental conditions. It also covers brick and stone production, sectors defined by extreme heat, heavy manual lifting, and constant respiratory hazards. And it targets informal waste management, where children are routinely exposed to biohazards and industrial toxins while scavenging through raw trash. Categorizing these specific jobs as hazardous provided the legal baseline necessary for the state to begin active enforcement. To police these sectors, the Department of Inspection for Factories and Establishments launched a special yearly plan of action, sending teams into high-risk areas to systematically identify violations. By early 2026, this crackdown resulted in 612 child labor cases being filed in the country's labor courts. Over a third of those cases moved quickly through the system, ending in significant financial penalties and fines for the employers involved. But while aggressive inspections and fines drive children out of factories, enforcement alone can't solve the poverty that put them there. The fourth phase of the government's Eradication of Hazardous Child Labor project was designed to address the financial gap left behind when a child stops working. The program removed 100,000 children from hazardous jobs and placed them into 6 months of non-formal education, followed by 4 months of specialized skill development. To replace wages lost during those 10 months of training, the government provided a 1,000 taka monthly stipend, sent directly to families via mobile banking. Upon graduating, each child received a 13,000 taka seed grant to help establish their own safe, small-scale business. Phase 4 demonstrated that banning hazardous work is only half the equation. The state must also provide a direct financial bridge to make that ban sustainable for the family. The 212,000 worker drop in hazardous labor proves that this triage strategy works when the state applies it to specific sectors. But the slight rise in general child labor shows that the economic pressures forcing children to work are still present in the broader economy. In response, the Ministry of Labor and Employment has proposed a 1,000 crore taka expansion of the rehabilitation project, an effort to scale the buyout strategy to every sector of the economy. The progress made in hazardous labor suggests that child labor is ultimately a calculation. To change the result, a nation must systemically purchase back its own future, one worker at a time.